In this talk, I would like to lay out my model in a way. I mean, the complete model that the full report, in a way, the full report, the complete model, the totality of all the domains that the human being live in. And also all of the domains that are included in, and all the domains that we operate from when it comes to religion or spirituality, because there is so much spirituality going on in the world today, which is great. That's what we need. It gives people all the fruits and benefits that we or they or anyone needs at certain times, if that is true. And I do not think it is true at the deepest level, and that's also why I have developed my model. This is the reason why I present my model and the full report and the totality of the domains that the human being live in, exist in, and can have knowledge about, and that the human being relates to in his life, is because of philosophy. So this is a philosophical work. It's also an analytical work, which means it's a work of phenomenology. It's a work to clarify the phenomenology that we as people exist in and live in as human beings. What is available to us? Which domains are available to us? And what is it that is important to and relevant? What is it that appears to the human being through the perception and through the experience of the human being? So this is a philosophical work, and it's also, in many ways, a psychological research. It's an investigation into psychology. It's an investigation into selfhood, identification, interpretation, into all the realms of the psychological self. And so it is philosophy, psychology, and of course it is deeply also related to what we call spirituality, to all the things that we, to every domain that we perceive or relate to when it comes to spirituality. The three domains that are real for the human being, the three domains that constitutes our mental and spiritual and psychological existence, are the three domains, as I say here. That which is prior to that which is produced. That is the first state, the first domain. That which is prior to that which is produced. This is the nothingness state, or the void, or the truth, the absolute reality, that which is prior to that which is produced. And that which is produced is human consciousness, human awareness, perception, the world as we see it, nature, the universe, before the Big Bang, all of that, that which is prior to that which is produced, that which is prior to God, or in some sense maybe God, if God is this pure, clinically free, pure state, which is the mother of the world, or the first state that is possible, or the thing that can never die because it was never born. I mean, it is the complete freedom of anything that could possibly pollute a perfect state of nothingness, in a way, it will. So that is the first domain, that which is prior to that which is produced. The second domain, the second level, the second domain is that which is produced. And that which is produced, that is everything that we perceive. That is the world, that is the universe, that is nature, that is consciousness, human awareness, our psychology, our psyche, our relationship with our own self, with the world, with communication, with anything. Society, religion, education, everything that we perceive, everything that the human being perceives is in that which is produced. And of course also perception itself, because perception is also produced. So that which is produced is basically everything, absolutely everything, which is produced, of course, everything that is not that which is prior to that which is produced. Everything that is produced is that which is anything that is not produced. So I mean, it's just everything. The second domain, and which every religion, every spiritual guru, every philosopher, any scientist, any researcher operates in this space. Buddhism also too is a way to relate to that which is produced. Buddhism is the instrument that people use. The Buddhist Dhamma is a way that we can use in order to relate to that which is produced. Buddhism, in a way, is a knowledge of that which is produced, you could say. So that is the second realm. Everything is in the second realm, that which is produced. Everything belongs in that domain. And every spiritual teacher, every Shiva, Sheikh, blah blah, or ultimate reality guru, or the true self guru, or true awareness guru, or all these California, San Jose gurus, or Portugal, India, Rishikesh, London gurus are in that area, and every possible person in the self-help industry is, or doctor, is in this domain, in the second domain of that which is produced, how to relate to that which is produced. And the third domain that I would call a domain in itself is simply the brain. The brain as it is, as a machine, as an engine. Because if we don't understand the brain, if we don't include the brain as a separate entity in a way, as the father of our life, maybe we could say that that which is prior to that which is produced is the mother of our life, or the father of our life. And the brain is the mother or the father, depending on how we see it. The brain is something that we have to give a domain to in itself, because the brain is that which produces that which is produced, you could say. The brain is that which produces that which is produced. The interaction between the brain and the nervous system, that is the engine or the machine that produces that which is produced. And that is, of course, human consciousness, awareness, and all our emotions, or all our projections, the way that we react. It is all the trauma that we've ever had in our life, and which has also later developed into brain programs, into neurocircuitry, specific neurocircuitry, that are programs that decides how we react to stuff. A person who has been traumatized in the jungle by a tiger will have that trauma. So another person who has been traumatized by his mother, or by her father, or by his sister, or by her brother, or by any other accident in this life, has a neurocircuitry according to that specific trauma. And addictions, all our addictions, and everyone in this world is addicted to whatever it is. If it is internet, or Facebook, or newspapers, or sex, or porn, or love addiction, or alcohol, or drugs, or whatever, we're all addicted in some way or another. And the brain makes sure that we are addicted, because without the addiction to water, or without the addiction to we wouldn't survive. Well, addiction to water is a little bit far-fetched, because our nervous system tells us to drink. I mean, the brain takes care of that. We have two brains. We have the inner brain, the animal brain, and the outer brain, the cortex, the big brain, the thinking brain, the cognitive circus, anyway. Well, so we have established the three domains of life, the three domains which are the most crucial and important to the human being. That which is prior to that which is produced, that's number one. That which is produced, that which is a result of that which is produced, that which appears to us because it is produced by something. That's the second domain, which means everything. Everything is inside that, absolutely everything. You could say that even the first domain, even that which is prior to that which is produced, in a way is a result of the second domain, because in a way it is produced too, since we perceive it. Or so, I mean, it's a discussion, topic up for discussion. Number three, the brain in itself, how to relate and understand the brain in itself. So this model, this totality, these three domains, and domain number three, the brain, also of course controls the way we see, perceive, because all the optical nerves, it controls everything that we experience and see and relate to and perceive, because it is actually constituted by the brain. And the reason why I do this is because there are so many gurus out there in this world who operates in domain number two, that which is produced. I should not maybe name names, but it's obvious, There's one big guy in Portugal who lets people stand up for maybe half an hour to wait for His Holiness to arrive, to come there and talk about what is being produced. He's a person who relates to that which is produced. That's what he is, and that's fine. That's nice. But there's no reason to call it the ultimate Shiva or Shiva Shiva Shake or Duba Duba Du. It's that which is produced. It's a way to relate to that which is produced, and if you do it by a certain bypass, then you will bypass the psychological self, and everything will be very nice. The psychological self is, of course, part of domain number two, that which is produced. To some extent, you could say that it also belongs to domain number three, the brain, because the psychological self is a faculty or a program that we have developed and installed in the neurocircuitry that constitutes all of these things through the mechanisms and interactions in the brain, you could say. But so it's important to talk about this, and one very famous guy who lives for fame talks about addiction. He's a pure addict of fame or of narcissism or whatever, but he's addicted to a psychological self, and through his meetings with spirituality, when he tries to free himself from where he tries to free himself from the psychological self in a way, but he cannot see that, but that's what he basically does. He's trying to free himself from the psychological self, but he has understood and realized that it doesn't work because he needs fame, and fame is a product of the psychological self. So he keep it. And there's a Buddha in California and who's basically a person in Pampers, a person in Pampers who is relating to that which is produced by the finer, the more subtle parts and aspects of even the brain, or of that which is produced, of awareness, So it's psychological knowledge, it's spiritual knowledge, and it's nice and it's fine, and there's no problem with anything of this, but it's just not a complete model. It's not a full report, and it's not able to give people the substantial food and clarity and the substantial deep map, the map that explains everything. And I have set out to explain everything in a way. But so anyway, but this is a first presentation of the total report of the full model, that which is prior to that which is produced. There's one guru in this world called Nisargadatta Maharaj who points to that, because that is the Parabrahman. The Parabrahman state is that which is prior to that which is produced, which means that which is prior to consciousness, that which is prior to that which we can perceive. It means that we cannot perceive it. We cannot perceive that which is prior to that which is produced because it's not produced, and we cannot perceive it. That is the Para-Brahman state. That is the ultimate reality. That is the absolute. So it's interesting both from a psychological, spiritual point of view, and also, of course, especially from a scientific point of view, scientific and philosophical point of view. Then you have the second realm, that which is produced, and everyone, every teacher, every guru, every master, every professor, every blah blah, is in that group, in this, that which is produced. Everything is there. The world is there, we are there, our consciousness is there, our psychology is there. Everything that exists in this world is in the second domain, that which is produced. And all the famous gurus and millionaires who wants to teach you to be a millionaire and to become even richer by teaching you how to be become a millionaire or whatever it is, everyone exists in this group, in number two, that which is produced. And we experience that which is produced. That's what the human being does in his life. The human being experiences that which is produced. And the third realm, the third domain, which is tremendously important and which we just have to accept, to research, to investigate, to really open up as a domain for the future, is the brain. Neurocircuitry and the brain, addiction, psychology, emotion, history, trauma, neurocircuitry, unseen programs that drives our lives, all of this, and of course the brain that controls all the bodily functions, breathing, digestion, perception, seeing, everything. So these three states, these three domains, these three levels of existence and of knowledge are tremendously important to understand, and tremendously important to understand that this is the full report. This is the package. This is the package that is what is available to the human being. This is what controls us. This full report, these three domains are what control us and influence us and nourish us and modifies us and creates our life. This is what creates our life, and this is what we relate to. The most important thing is this is what we relate to. When we relate to the world, and that's what the human being does, the human being relates to that which is produced. That's what we do. That's what the amygdala does. The amygdala relates to that which is produced. So you could say that that's how it is. This is the three levels of existence, and the three levels of that which we can have knowledge of. And it's tremendously important to have knowledge about these three domains, these three levels, and to accept that they actually exist together in a full totality, so that we don't bypass too quickly into only one domain. Because if we don't accept all of the three domains, then we will have a problem. We need to accept all the three domains. We need to do that. We need to accept that if we want to be truthful, earnest, and completely open to what life is, we have to accept that these are the three domains that controls human life, and these three domains is what controls us, and it's also what we relate to. We relate to the things that are coming from these three domains. That which is prior to that which is produced, number one. Number two, that which is produced, which basically means everything, absolutely everything. And even that which is produced means also the first one, that which is prior to that which is produced, in a way. And the second also includes the third domain, the brain, but it's a very good idea to take the brain out and actually give it a domain by itself, third domain, because the brain is so incredibly important, because the neurocircuitry and the interactions between the nervous system and the brain is tremendously important to understand, because if we don't understand it, then we will be stuck in a bypass of ourselves, or of knowledge even, that is simply not healthy, that is simply not good. And you cannot truly heal or see the totality of your being without including the brain and the nervous system. So, and because of the importance of spirituality and self-help in the world today, which is really, really helpful for many, it's important to say this, so that we can gain the complete knowledge, so that we can see the full report. What is it? What is happening? What is what? What is what? So that we can understand everything and set a great example for the future, for our kids, for our education, for everything, so that we as a humanity knows, and we can show and we can prove that we are able and capable of producing an attitude and a strategy that includes the full report, the totality of what is. And we have gained knowledge of it, and we make it a map to understand and to relate to, that can be derived from this, from what I say here today. I think that's important. I may be wrong. This may all be wrong, of course. That is no problem to me. I may be wrong, and da-da-da-da-da. But I think it's very, very important to say this, because I think that we need to remember that the full report, the totality of all that is important to us, is something that we just simply have to relate to and accept as reality. This is reality. This is what reality is about. This is how reality is produced for us. This is how reality is produced for us, and it is what we relate to as that which we, as human beings, call and perceive as reality. So that's how it is. And of course, my main work in a way, the human program, is of course also included in this. The whole human program, you could say, the whole human program is included in that which is produced, of course. And the human program is also a result and produced by the brain in a way, but the human program in which we all live as people, is that which is produced. So we have to understand this, and this is tremendously important. Whether I'm right or wrong, whether this is right or wrong, this is important. Thank you very much. Thank you.